Good afternoon, entrepreneurship. We're talking a little bit about marketing today. I said these are going to be relatively short, quick hitters, maybe this week and next as you guys are working on this. Because, again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time, walking you through the stuff. I want to give you time, and I expect then that you'll spend a decent amount of time doing the research and those types of things that you need to do for your project. So let's just start basically. What's the market plan? I got 11 whole slides here, so it's not so much about the PowerPoint here as like a good PowerPoint maybe should just remind us of some things, right? Does this make you break out in a cold sweat? A lot of you should have had advanced marketing. I think most everybody that's in this class ought to have had it as not a prereq, but it's part of, I think, both the major and the minor. So we're going to just walk through some steps and some things to consider. Now, primary amongst those, and it's not on this particular PowerPoint, is to go back and look at the template that was provided, by SCORE. Again, there's about 8 pages there in that template, kind of an outline form that's devoted to the marketing plan, which gives you an idea about how thorough you need to be in your discussion of that. Okay, and maybe some things that were or were not, in the marketing plan. First, where are you? And again, I like these. We in my master's program, we spent basically a full semester, a full class, talking about nothing but like Porter's 5 forces and modeling our plan using some of these types of discussions. And Porter's 5 forces is a takeoff from a SWOT analysis, and the SWOT analysis was in the template from SCORE. Feel free to use that. I'm not telling anybody that they have to jump in and use the Porter's 5 forces. Read through that, though. There might be some things that you would include on that Porter's 5 forces. It might give you some thought of things that would also be in your SWOT analysis. So please at least take the time to kind of read through this and include, and this is a link as well, okay, include some of the things that might not be in the SWOT. Okay, a combination thereof is probably going to make it exceptional. You talk about your rivals, you talk about your suppliers. We don't think about suppliers when we're in marketing. We think of marketing as advertising, but it's not. It's the whole supply chain. How do we go about getting our products or services from perhaps suppliers and whatnot to ultimately the consumer, the person that we're going to sell to, and how can we do that and get either the least expensive maybe or the best or some combination thereof, right, products or services, right, to deliver and do it and make money, right? That's the whole goal of marketing, and supply a valuable service or product to our customers, right? So we should have a company philosophy and a company culture, and you ought to be thinking about that mission statement, okay? The university is in the process of rewriting its mission statement, thank goodness. The old one, and you can find it on the website, I thought was extremely long and boring, I guess is the best way to describe it. Okay, think of Nike's "Just Do It." That's a pretty powerful statement, and that may not be its mission statement. That may be its advertising slogan, right? But nevertheless, a mission statement ought to be something that's kind of short and sweet like that gets to the point of what you want to accomplish with your business. Okay, so you will and you should include a mission statement within your marketing plan, right? And that kind of incorporates these things, but you need to talk further about what your company philosophy is and about what's the culture that you want to cultivate within that company. Culture might include, how you're going to treat your employees, right? If they're going to be a valuable part of your company, if you have employees, right? How you're going to treat your customers and those types of things. Okay. Often we get a lot. I see a lot of generics. Well, we're going to provide exceptional customer service. Okay, the more, and that might be okay. When I say that's okay, I really kind of mean that, and it might be okay. But the more you can expand on that, the better. We're gonna, our servers are gonna be at if it's a restaurant, they're gonna be at the people's table at least 6 times during the meal, making sure that they're, providing adequate service, or not adequate, exceptional service. Okay, those types of things. Okay, so what are you trying to accomplish? This is more of the advertising than it is marketing, actually, but you're going to try to generate traffic, just some name recognition, or are you actually introducing a new product or service then, and how do you go about that, right? So define your product or service, and in here we got in detail, and if you were just doing a marketing plan, it would probably be more in detail. Here you're going to actually do a business description where you're probably going to define it more thoroughly, and so I'm authorizing you to make it a little bit of a summary, the description of the product or service in this marketing plan, right? Okay, what's your entry strategy? And again, are you going to enter as a low-cost provider, or are you going to enter as a differentiator? Those are the two main strategies. Are you going to enter as a niche, where your field, and you can be a niche low-cost, or you can be a niche, differentiator, but niche is a little bit of a separate strategy. So you might have 3 potential strategies. Which are you going to do? A niche one might be if you're picking a product or service that just isn't really available, say, in a town like Havre right now. Something that would be unique. Okay, and so you're going to fill a niche that you think there is demand for. Okay, otherwise you're probably going to differentiate or be a low-cost provider. Who's the competition? Again, the more detail about that, the better. Yeah, you should be specific. You should name names. Okay, you should go to them, right? You should talk. There's if you're doing a coffee shop in Havre, how many coffee shops are there in Havre? And then you've got to expand on that. There are, there's the Grind, which is a coffee shop, but they also serve lunch, right? And there's the one down on First Street. I don't even remember what it's called now. And it's a coffee, but it's primarily just a coffee shop. It doesn't have sit down or anything. I don't know that it serves a lot of food. But what are the other competitors for coffee shops? Okay, I don't know of others that are just coffee shops. But what about the Holiday gas station? What about the Town Pump gas station? What about McDonald's? What about IGA? Right? They all serve hot, freshly brewed coffee. Some just coffee. Some of them serve, a lot of mocha, whatever thingamajigs. Okay, so you have to address sometimes the competition that might be outside of what you would think of as normal, right? How many there are? Again, the personal observation. Should you go there? Yeah. Okay. Do you need to buy a coffee when you go to IGA? Maybe not. When you go to the Hound Dog or whatever it is down on First Street, yeah. If you spend $1 and buy a coffee, or $2, might be worth it just to analyze them a little bit. Okay. And how are you going to track them? Not so much before, but after the fact. How are you going to track how they're doing and what kind of changes and whatnot? Are you going to shop them? Right? Are you going to mystery shop them? Yeah, maybe. Or you might have some other ways of doing that too. Okay, who is your target market? And again, it can't be everyone. Even Walmart has a target market, right? I mean, they know that there's a certain demographic that shops at Walmart more often than other demographics. Okay, Costco, even though Costco has a broad appeal, they found out that it's relatively wealthy people that really like to go to Costco and spend a lot of money. Okay, and so you need to identify that group of people, that demographic that you think could it change? Yeah, after you're in business for 5 years, it could radically change. You might find out that it's just not attracting the type of customer you thought, but maybe it's attracting some other types of customers, and that's fine. Again, is your market going to be niche? If you're a coffee shop, nah, it's not a niche market. That's fairly broad market, and you're going to have to go after it. How about the brewery that's in town? Is that a niche market? Nah, I would say that's fairly broad as well. What if somebody opened up a mechanic shop for classic automobiles? Okay, they're just going to do the mechanical work. They're not going to do body shops. That's probably a niche. How many people are driving, classic old vehicles that really need mechanic work? Yeah, so that might be a niche, right? Okay, just as an example. Again, define age, gender, income level, marital status, and geography. That's all available. You can use epodunk.com, get you close. The Census Bureau does a nice job. Again, the SBDC has a breakdown of a lot of that stuff, probably from some of the same sources that I just talked about, but might be more readily and more easily can they put their hands and fingers on that material. It actually might save you a lot of time versus sitting and trying to hunt and peck for it on the internet. So how are you going to get there, right? What are some of the resources that you can use? Internet, Bear Paw Development, which is our local SBDC. You might have other SBDCs wherever you're at. What are the demographics? What are the psychographics of your potential customer, right? Are they, trying to impress their neighbor? Are they, just the opposite? Do they tend to be thrifty? Those types of things, right, can be important as well. Planning, right? So strategy for each goal, and we're talking probably more about advertising here and whatnot. But what are the messages? What are the steps that you're going to take? Are you just gonna print a calendar every year and kind of hand it out to whoever wants one and hope that attracts customers, or do you have other ideas, right? And are they going to be a stepladder type of approach maybe? What are the specific tactics, okay? And what vehicles will you use? Newspaper, radio, TV, brochure, signage. This is terribly outdated, right? Even though it says 21616 down there, it's terribly outdated because where are we and how are we attracting people nowadays? Social media, okay? I'm going to be the first one to stand up here and admit, I don't do Facebook. I don't know what Instagram is other than my son has mentioned it, and he also mentioned something called Snapchat, okay? I have no idea what they are, okay? Facebook, I kind of have an idea. I've seen people get on Facebook a little bit. But that said, I also do know that they are all or can all be powerful vehicles for marketing, to be used for marketing, to be used for advertising and promotion and marketing. The whole works, right? Okay. So I think these papers, and it's new enough, granted, that I haven't seen a lot of it yet, but I'm going to start expecting more and more detailed information about your social media or online presence. What's your website going to look like? You're going to have one, I would hope. Okay, maybe websites are past tense. If so, maybe I'd explain that. Okay, but what's your Facebook, image going to be like? What types of things are you going to put on there, and how are you going to present the information, and to whom, and things like that. How are you going to control the information? You probably all know more about that than I do, right? So an example here might be the strategy. Position yourself as the market leader in home inspections in my community. It's almost a strategy. It's almost a goal too, then, right? Okay. So key messages: Home Inspections is a reputable, trustworthy name in home inspections. Okay. Tactics, right? These are free. This one is approach local community college about teaching a home buying class. Okay, you're at the community college. Maybe you impress the instructor, maybe some others. Maybe the students for 5 years down the line, right? When they go to buy a home or something and they need a home inspector, or maybe they refer customers to you because they heard you give that talk in their class. Okay. Another example: propose a feature story to a local paper. Right. Things to look for. Okay. There you go. And then a brochure. Okay. Again, there's kind of a step ladder or different approaches. Could you put on an adult ed class? Sure. Different things like that would be very, very appropriate. Press release. Okay, a lot of newspapers are more than willing to run press releases. Would they run one once a week? Maybe not, but some will. Maybe you could write a column, a weekly or a monthly column for your local newspaper about, things to look for in homes if you're buying or selling a home for that matter. Budgeting. Okay. Remember, you made a budget. Okay. And that might have been premature. Okay. We do it in that order. I do it in that order because the financial part's always been a difficult part that we've had to do some changing on and whatnot. But you may need to go back and change your amounts. You may find out that to maintain a website's more expensive than you thought. To buy some newspaper advertising is far more expensive than you thought. Or the awning that you're going to put up over your front door, may be more expensive or less expensive than you thought. Okay, and so we might have to go back and check those numbers. If you listen to Joe LaPlante, and when he comes in and talks at my small business management class, he says that the most underestimated area in a business plan in terms of dollar costs is in the marketing section. Okay, most folks just don't realize how much money needs to be spent and should be spent in marketing your product or service. Okay, and it's very much underestimated. Most people don't realize what the cost is either, of newspaper, radio, frivolous shot skis, which are like beer koozies and those types of things, keychains, you name it, right? Okay, most people don't realize the tremendous expense that goes into those. Okay, projects, right? Set some deadlines. You start small. Right, we anticipate that we're going to start small. Best way to start a business, actually. Okay, there you go. Turn it into a living document. Lastly, how are you going to track it? Right, how are you going to track your marketing successes and failures? Are there ways that you can keep count of how many times people visit your Facebook page? Are there ways that you can tell if people that are coming into your store, let's say you have a storefront, did they find you on Facebook? Did they find you on your website? Can you just ask them? Yeah. Could you have them fill out a little questionnaire? Yeah, please. Those types of things are extremely important, to figure out what's working for you in your marketing so you can change it. The worst marketing plan is one that probably never changes. Right, because your clientele and those types of folks are always going to change, so you need to be somewhat adaptable. There you go. Relatively short. I'm going to try to keep it short. Next week's will be a short one as well. I'll talk a little bit more about marketing. Hopefully we can put some finishing touches on it. But you guys devote your time and efforts into creating that good marketing plan. Remember the writing basics, right? Intro, tell me what you're going to tell me. Body, and then conclusion or summary. Tell me what you told me. Okay. Keep good writing in front and center every time, all the time on this paper, because it is expected, and I will correct for those things. So thanks, and we will talk to you next week for sure.